Hello, good morning. Welcome to the fifth episode of Road to CTA, this time on mock exams. Mock exams is one of the cornerstones of your CTA preparation because the review board is quite different than what most of you experienced so far. It's very high intense, it's very long. It's altogether end-to-end 5 to 6 hours, maybe 7 hours, high intense. It's really, really stressful. And therefore, you have to practice. It's a lot like running your marathon. Not that I did it ever, but what people told me, you have to practice it. It has to become muscle memory. And this is where mock exams come into play. But before we get started, this is all my personal opinion. This is the disclaimer. I'm not a CTA judge. I will not share any details on my CTA review board experience. I am not affiliated with Salesforce in any way. All I'm telling you is the way we prepared for the CTA review board. And this brings me to today's non-for-profit, RefugeeForce. RefugeeForce is a Dutch non-for-profit which helps refugees break into the Salesforce market. They not only train people on Salesforce, but they also help them getting jobs. And you can help them today either by donating money or, which is even more important, hire a refugee today. There's plenty of different ways of hiring refugees, especially in the Netherlands and in Berlin right now. But anyway, help people to break into the Salesforce market. And with that, back to our topic. The mock exams matter because the knowledge you have in your head, which you get during your CTA review board preparation on your studies, only matter if they can be applied. And this is something where the review board, the CTA journey to CTA even helps you, even if you don't go for the board, you become way better in applying your knowledge and communicating it in a precise way. And this is where the mock exams also help. And the mock exams help to build a review board muscle memory. At some point, you have done so many mock exams, this happened to me that I actually got bored of them, that I got kind of bored. It just becomes the second nature. Oh, Saturday morning, 10 o'clock, let's do it. Another time, open word, left, right, blah, 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 blah. This is where you want to get. As one of my students once called it, you get into an autopilot. And the mock exams also help you definitely to identify your gaps. You will be struggling during your mock exams. I struggled a lot, which is fine. I mean, this is what it is. And you need a group for your mock exams. So you have at least 7 days before, you define 3 to 6 participants. There should not be more than 6 active participants. Of course, there can be listeners, but we usually had like 4 people. You define the presenter and the judges. This is very, very important. Make sure who is going to be whom and take on some responsibilities. Then you define the mock exam scenario, of course, and you set a date and a time. Make sure you have 3 hours uninterrupted time. So we usually did it on a Saturday. I know one study group does it always Friday evenings. You need 3 hours without the preparation time. So also factor in the preparation time. So for us, it was Saturday morning, 11 or 12 o'clock was a good time because I had 3 hours before, then 3 hours for the mock exam. Then at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I was just done. And for the judges actually have the harder job. They have to solve the scenario as well, but also memorize the CTA review board scorecard, because this is what you will use to ask questions, to judge the candidate. Then the presentation itself starts. Be on time, not too much chit-chat. I'm guilty of the chit-chat there. The judges and the candidates, again, solve the scenario. So both sides know exactly what to expect. The presentation is exactly 45 minutes, no questions, no feedback, no interruption. So the judges mute themselves and go, because this is also part of the experience. It's a really weird experience to be presenting for 45 minutes, knowing there are people on the other side, but they say nothing, not a single word. The judges take really detailed notes on questions and feedback. I would say at least 2 pages. I mean, this is just, you're constantly typing, constantly. Everything Even if you think the solution is correct, you can still add a question. Can you clarify? Can you explain a little bit? What are your considerations? And after the presentation, you have a 15-minute break. And this is where the candidate gets some rest, which is important, but also the judges discuss without the candidate. So what we usually do, the candidate literally leaves the computer and we message them via WhatsApp or email to the candidate, hey, we are ready with the discussion again. And then comes the fun part, the Q&A. The Q&A is actually what makes or breaks your review board experience. And this is very close to an RFP or a pre-sales meeting. So 45 minutes, exactly again, do the timer. Round robin, questions by the judges. So we always have the same order, judge 1, judge 2, judge 3. Only questions, no feedback, no criticisms, no I think. So the judges always ask a question. I will come back to a couple of examples later. So we give the candidate the opportunity to clarify and to correct the mistakes. We are there as judges to help the candidate. It's not that we want to trick the candidate. And as a judge, I make sure I only ask about topics I know well. The mock is not for me as a judge to learn, but the mock is there for the candidate to improve and to show that the candidate is a good architect. And once the Q&A is done, a couple of example questions. Walk me through your user agent flow. What do you suggest for, why do you suggest Salesforce Identity Connect, and so forth. You can pause the video here and see at the example questions. I have a lot more later. After the 45 minutes Q&A, we have another 15-minute break. The judges again discuss and structure the feedback together. Oftentimes we have very similar feedback. After the 45 minutes, the feedback is very similar. So and then the candidate comes back again, and we provide the feedback. And the feedback is very constructive, positive, but honest. And we don't discuss too much. We don't say, hey, I think this solution doesn't work. We'd rather say, hey, can you please make sure you look into territory management one more time? First of all, I don't know if my solution is correct. Second is discussion is fun. We can do it afterwards, but the feedback is more for helping the candidate to improve. Then we have two different types of feedback. The first one is very general, something like your pacing was good, your presentation structure was not optimized yet, I could easily follow you or not, I liked how you did the data model, or please include the cardinality for each object. And of course, there's specific feedback. I think for your for your large data volume strategy on skinny tables, you have to read up on skinny tables again, I think. And so very specific as well. This takes another, 20 to 30 minutes. Sometimes we have discussions afterwards, like this was free-flowing discussions. Most of the times we actually have been too spent to do any more time, because by now, it's a couple of hours already. And finally, at least I always send my notes as I wrote them to the candidate, just for the candidate to give another way of learning. And this already concludes the presentation, the mock exam. There's a couple of general tips. You have to combine different judges and candidates. You become blind to each other. So we mix that up oftentimes. We had either completely different groups, or we had guest judges in there, which is very fun. I really can remember at some point there came a new judge in who completely killed me. This was so eye-opening. The more mocks you do, the better. It's actually simple math there. Practice, 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 practice. So I think Jakob did something 30 to 40. I did at least 40 mocks until I went for my review board. It became, so you will redo scenarios. There is not enough scenarios to do multiple, but it's actually not bad. It's actually fun to solve the same scenario a couple of months later again, and just you compare the two solutions. You become so much better. Then you rewatch mock exam recordings, your own, but also of other people, which helps a lot. I did that quite extensively. I think the call recording is just amazing. He's just gold. You definitely do that. Watch your own. I did a lot as well, like just practice, optimize there, and take the mock exams seriously. This will really make sure that you perform on the day of the CTA review board. There's something I notice when people fail, they often say, yeah, I was not on my top of my game on that day. This shouldn't matter. If you practice, it doesn't say that you, I mean, all of us who passed, I think, had some kind of luck in it. But if you practice enough, you don't have to be on your best game. It just became muscle memory doing the mock exam. And this is not only for the mock exam itself. This practicing also made me a better person in any kind of meetings, in any kind of presentations. It really sharpened my skill. And here, there are some kind of example notes. This is just randomly from me. You can pause the video here and later look at them in detail. You see, I wrote about 2 or 3 pages of notes. And again, be a Salesforce nerd, have fun. Mock exams are dreadful. Mock exams are really exhausting, but it's also a lot of fun. You are allowed to be as nerdy as you like. And with that, I conclude today's presentation again. Thank you very much. I'm looking forward to see you next week to our 6th episode of our Road to CTA series. See you. Bye.